Can you tell me about a moment in your community that made you unexpectedly emotional?
There was a time when I worked at another organization and we were doing a virtual event. And in that virtual event, there were two people that were talking back and forth in their chat. They realized that they literally lived five houses down from one another. And out of that, they formed a friendship and started to meet for coffee and all of those other sorts of things. So, what bubbled out of just two people connecting at a virtual conference that was being held within the community, a larger relationship blossomed. And from what if I had to guess, they're still connected to this day. But these are people that never would have probably found each other in the same way had they not connected through some sort of a community activation. So that felt
Mm,
really special to me.
mm, I love that
And every
story.
time I think about it, I beamed. I'm like, we facilitated that. That was wonderful. That was amazing.
Oh, those are the gems.
Yeah.
When was a time you broke one of your own community rules?
I posted a link. So there was
Confessions.
there, right there. So we had a rule in the community, like, unless it's helpful to the conversation, not to post links. And I
Oh,
always was like, because what can end up happening is people will post links like, hey, I am a consultant. Here's the link to my thing. And it's not helpful to the conversation at all. No one asked for that. And it detracts from the conversation in the community, especially with as large as the one that I was running was. It had bunches of people in it. And once you let someone start doing
yeah.
self promotional links in conversational areas, then that's what everyone's going to do. And that gets really unwieldy really quickly. And so we had a rule unless it is relevant to the conversation, don't post the link or just put the information in the post versus linking out. And so we internally had a resource that we thought was valuable for the community members to have. And there was no conversation around it. I posted the link. I'm like, here's a link to this thing. And I was like, probably shouldn't do that. And then it's so funny because one of the community members was like, hey, we're not supposed to post this thing. I was like, you're right. You're absolutely right. So what we ended up doing is going back and creating an article and saying, if you would like more resources, you can go to the main page and find it here.
I love it when your own rules come back to haunt you. That's the best.
You can't either. I'm like, you're right. You're absolutely right.
I love that they held your feet to the fire on that one. That's good. Describe a time when someone surprised you by showing up more for your community than you expected that they would.
So the work that I am currently doing at Exos, we're doing more in-person on-site community work. And we've got some super passionate leaders who really love what they do as it pertains to how they bring people together. And there was a time, I guess it was within the last year, where we were putting together some programming for a particular community. And they already had someone who was just a very strong leader. And the whole reason this community existed was because of their strong leadership. They stepped in and recognizing that there were probably other pockets of the same sorts of people who were coming together around the same interest. This person was very proactive about saying, how do we get everyone on the same page and really start to share the knowledge that we've built as part of this particular community in this location and share it with others that are trying to do the same thing. And they've moved on. They've found somewhere else to be. But what that has done is it's strengthened the larger network of communities that gather around this same interest. And so now when they think about program, it's because of the foundation this person laid and then was willing to share their knowledge across these different communities. And it's really created a strong connection on a global scale. They share ideas, they think about programming together, and there's a consistent experience whether you go from one site to the next site, whether you're in Singapore or in San Francisco, the energy because of what this person was able to cultivate the same, and it's really special. And every now and then someone will ask about this person and we're like, they don't work here. They're not part of this community anymore. And they're like, oh, that's a shame. But
Mm.
what they were able to cultivate really is special. And people talk about it as a use case for what other communities could be. And I'm like, that is such a different animal. Like, let's not compare
you got like super lucky with this person like plopping into your community. Yeah, I so resonate with that. I like believe that leaders are developed. They're not like born, especially in your community. And so like having a proper leadership development like strategy is really critical to like the long-term health of your community. But then something like lightning strikes and you get one just like plopped into your community and it's thank you to the community god. We are gonna take that and run with it as long as we can.
That's right. That's right. And then people are like, how can we do? We're like,
Yeah,
that
you're like
person was
that.
a very
Yeah.
special person.
Okay. So that's not replicatable at all. We should not build our strategy around that.
Can we please stop using this as a use case? Because this is a different animal.
Mm.
Like we are setting ourselves up for failure.
Yeah, yeah. This was the exception, not the rule. Oh, that's so funny. What's a piece of advice you gave to a community member that you secretly needed to hear yourself?
That correction's not personal. We had a community member who, when I was working in another organization, we had relaunched our community. We'd had separate communities of practice. We integrated into one community, and then we had a community member who just came in hot. And at the time, there was another community manager there who was handling him because he would just come in and be a little bit antagonistic in the community. And then when you would call him out on that, not in a hey, you're being a jerk kind of way, but in a hey, like here are the boundaries around how you can participate here, then he would push back and continue to push back and continue to push back. And she had moved on and he was continuing to push back. And I had to sit down and just have a this is not, this isn't personal. We want you to thrive and succeed in this space. And we believe that there's value that you can offer and expertise that you have that people can benefit from. But what is happening is that the way in which you're delivering that message is not helpful. Here's
Mhm.
all the reasons why and the examples of that, but this isn't personal, right? And so sometimes when we receive feedback, it feels personal, especially when you're deeply connected to the work that you do or that something becomes a part of your identity. If someone's not quite like that, then it feels like a personal attack.
Yeah.
And so you have to separate yourself from like the behavior that is occurring and who you really are. And that I was the type of person that feedback felt stingy
Mhm.
until I was able to really sit down and hear it from my own mouth and coach someone else through it. This isn't personal. This really isn't. And so now, this person is continues to be, I don't work for that organization anymore, but they are still a part of that community and they're just flourishing and people
Mhm.
really respect them. And it also helped me be proactive and asking for different sorts of feedback. Like
Mm.
this is stuff that I would want to. I can't grow if I don't hear
Yeah.
this feedback, and so I proactively ask for it now. And I don't have conversations with people without asking, especially anyone who reports to me. What am I doing that is really working for you that you need me to continue to do? And what am I doing or not doing that is impeding your growth or getting in your
Wow.
and those are staple question enders for any conversation that I have with people that I both report to and that people who report to me and that I work with, because if I don't know if I'm being a roadblock, I can't fix it. So
Mm. Can I work for you? You wanna be my boss? I'm so lovely.
like
No,
I'm sure you're doing fine.
I know at this rate I'm unhirable. I'm a menace. But with that type of leadership, I might be like not like a caged wild animal if I was employed.
Listen, it's super valuable. I had a boss who was the same way, and gosh, lots of that I learned from her. She's a friend now because we don't work for the same organization, but had it not been for her, there's a lot of that growth that probably wouldn't happen. So
Yeah. That's really good. I just want to reflect what the takeaway that I have from that, creating a really clear distinction between the who the person is and their identity and the behavior and the actions that they are taking and focusing when you're course correcting, focusing on number one, the spirit of the community and how the spirit of the community is being impacted by their behavior and their actions, which is not a direct correlation with who they are and the type of person that they are. And when we can do that, like there's so much more room for us to grow and expand.
Yeah, for sure. The Center for Creative Leadership has a really beautiful model called SBI, and it's situation, behavior, impact. You focus the conversations on those, it removes the person from it and really focuses on what happened. Here's what I saw happen. Here's the impact that it had, and allows you to have a better conversation.
That's beautiful. If you could go back in time and send your younger self a one-word message, what would it be?
Grace.
Say
It
more.
would be grace. I have a tendency to be very hard on myself. I have, because I expect a lot from me, and I think sometimes is more than what I think people expect from me. And so when I have conversations with, I was having a conversation with a colleague earlier today, and we were talking about just some things that were happening on the team. And it's pretty much all hands on deck to try to get some help going. And I said, but at the end of the day, I'm ultimately responsible for all of this. She said, "It falls under you, but that doesn't mean you have to take it all on. There are circumstances that are out of your control that got us to where we are today. Do not beat yourself up about it." So I have the tendency to take on responsibility, whether it's my fault. If I feel like it's something that I could have directly controlled,
Mm,
whether or not that is true, I still feel a deep sense of responsibility for resolving it.
mm.
And I have a hard time giving myself. I always tell everybody, you need to give yourself grace. You need to give yourself. And this weekend, a shopping cart lit across the side of my car, and I was able to buff most of the scratches out. But I'm like, if I would have only, and I'm like, you could not have controlled that shopping cart.
Yeah,
Like,
yes,
I'm like, but what could I have controlled that would have prevented that from happening? Marjorie, nothing, nothing.
yes.
Like, it is what it is. You're beautiful. Your car's still beautiful. Yes, there's a little bit of a scratch that you can see, but you're fine.
Oh my gosh. Were you in my therapy session? Was me and my therapist last week? Because this is totally hitting. Ye- I have those same parts that like they have such an important role in protecting me and like the job that they have assumed is like anticipating and mitigating all of the future risk. And unfortunately, it postures me to expect the worst and to always be planning for it. And I've definitely been doing more work with these parts and like slowly have come to realize that they actually want to see the best in people and in the world, and they want to be able to anticipate the best, but they've been burdened with this responsibility. So that's more work for my therapist. Marjorie, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for the work that you do in the community spaces. You are such a bright light, and I'm grateful to bask in your glow.
Oh, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation and I really appreciate you having me on, Bree.
Thanks.